I'm with Russell Quirk, one of the most outspoken estate agents in the UK. Russell, we are talking about a number of topics. The next topic I'd like to talk about is your opinion on the future of Purplebricks, House Simple, Yopa, and all the other online boys. Talk to me, and specifically in the UK, though.
Yeah, so I think the die is cast, really, and obviously there's been some casualties. I'm one of them, House Network, Hatched and so on. But there's room for online estate agents for sure, but just not many of them and not much in the way of market share. I think I've said a few times that I think the ceiling to online estate agency in market share terms is probably 10%. I do think there will probably only be a couple of players left standing. You've kind of got this three-way battle at the moment. Now that Easy have kind of stopped as well, I suppose, very, very recently, which is Purplebricks, Yopa, House Simple. Purplebricks, of course, are still relatively well funded, although they've got to lick their wounds financially insofar as how much it's going to actually cost them to come out of the US and Australia. They've levelled off a fair bit over the last 12 months in terms of listings, so they're not growing like that anymore. They're kind of growing a bit, despite spending more money on marketing. I think
it obviously shows that there's no relationship between spending money and getting...
Well, it's not linear for sure. You can't just spend another £1 million and then see a commensurate amount of extra listings, because there's a ceiling to the sector.
That's fine. Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
It's not for me, is it? No.
Call the cops.
There's a ceiling to the sector, for sure. I think the problem is, I think Purplebricks will survive now that they've retreated back to the UK, kind of with their tail between their legs. And I think they will be the go-to online estate agent, and they will probably end up with, what have they got now? 4% market share themselves.
4, 5, yep.
They will probably end up with 7 or 8% eventually, but I think that will take a while. I do think they need to sort themselves out operationally first, so in terms of how they treat their customers, particularly post-listing, and in particular how they deal with the customer insofar as checking mortgage agreements in principle, checking cash, ability to proceed, checking chain, and in the important thing, sales progression, which you might have seen a video I did recently with Cameron Carter, the ex-LPE from Purplebricks. They simply don't do it. So fix all that stuff, and actually you might end up with repeat business that otherwise I think Purplebricks simply aren't going to see. The problem, therefore, though, in their wake is Yopa and House Simple. House Simple have done this frankly insane thing, not just a race to the bottom, but a race kind of through the bottom and out the other side, almost kind of, navigating towards the centre of the earth in terms of bottom feedingness, where they're now bloody free. I mean, that... if you think eMove and Purplebricks and House Network demeaned the industry by charging 5, 6, 7, 800 quid, it being free is pretty demeaning. And I actually think the public are very suspicious about things that are free.
Well, we all are as human beings. Nothing's free in this world.
And frankly, no disrespect to Sam Mitchell and the board of House Simple, the unit economics, trust me, they don't stack up. When you're employing 100 odd people and you're spending money on marketing and technology and so on, just to rely on eventual commission at maybe a 10, 15, 20% conversion rate on things like conveyancing and mortgages, the unit economics just don't stack up. That business does not work. Yopa, we don't hear much from Yopa, of course, now. Andrew Barclay, one of the founding directors, has resigned. They're on about their 17th CEO, their 24th marketing agency. I might be exaggerating slightly, but they've got all sorts of trouble. And again, they're losing a fortune. Yopa lost, 35 million quid last year?
I don't know the numbers.
Well, how'd you get out of that nosedive before you hit the ground? And of course, recently, Yopa have raised money, but nothing like the money they were going out to raise, which was about 75 million. They raised 16 million. Their current trajectory, that money doesn't last them very long. Will we see a merger of all three, given that there's a commonality, certainly between House Simple and Purplebricks now, which is Martin Hughes from Tosca Fund owns shares in both those businesses. So I think eventually there'll be a mass consolidation, and what I would do, and what do I know, having failed at eMove before anybody puts a comment underneath.
They will anyway.
Well, they will anyway, yeah. But I think the only way forward for any of those businesses now, particularly for the investors to save face, is just to become one business, keep the websites of House Simple and Yopa going. You simply redirect eventually those brands and that traffic to Purplebricks, and look, maybe they do okay. Maybe that business continues profitably as a kind of an amalgamation, but I genuinely, and I'm not saying this I've got no axe to grind with anybody at Yopa or House Simple at all, but it's simply those businesses don't stack up. They can't survive in their present form.
Thank you very much.